All right, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, July 20th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I'm joined on Tuesdays by my man, Mr. Big Marcel. Marcel, what's up, man? How's it going?
What's up, man? All good. Pretty rough day today, but all good.
What happened? What happened? Tell me.
Just very busy, and I told you about my how do you say that? I have some pain, so I told you about that. So
Poor guy.
I'll go to the doctor tomorrow, but nothing big, I hope. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I hope Marcel's okay. I don't want to do the podcast alone, so I like it better when you're healthy, Marcel. But yeah, we do have the whole card to preview today, guys. So UFC Vegas 32, Sandhagen versus Dillashaw. I'm looking forward to talking about this card with you, Marcel. I feel like there's some pretty good fights on this card. They're kind of going under the radar. Just while I set it up, let's give me your overall thoughts on this card and of the main event, which obviously was supposed to happen in, I think, May. Was pushed back till now. So any thoughts on the card as a whole before we get into it?
Card is good, man, but it's flying under the radar because the UFC doesn't know what they're doing with the bout order. You know what I mean? There are certain fights on the prelims that deserve to be on the main card, and certain fights on the main card that should be on the prelims. And I know Dana always says like every fight has a certain order on the card, but it's like just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And yeah, we will talk about it, but I had to say it, man, because it's not just me. If you look all over the internet, all over Twitter as well, people say the same thing. You know, there are certain fights that deserve to be on the main card. How do you not put Yanez against Costa on the main card? You know what I mean? Two bright prospects fighting each other, and you just randomly put them on a prelim, just randomly, not even on a feature prelim, but just randomly somewhere. And also Allen against Soriano, same thing for me, you know. But yeah, what can you do?
Yeah, that fight's phenomenal too. I agree. I agree with everything you said. Glenn says good evening. Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? All right, so let's get into the card here. We'll start with the first fight and just work our way up as we usually do. So give me one sec here, guys. Pulling it up. We have 12 fights, if I'm not mistaken. The one fight doc it's still listed, or actually no, it's still listed, yeah, on UFC stats, but that fight's not happening, obviously. It's been moved to next week's card, I want to say, right?
It's next week, yeah.
Yeah. So someone got COVID, I think, on Shamil's team. Anyways, let's get into this card. So we'll start with the women's strawweight division here. Diana Belbita taking on Hannah Goldie. Marcel, Belbita moving down in weight, guys, to 115. That's definitely something to note about this fight. She's going to be pretty big for this weight class, in my opinion. Hasn't fought in a minute now. Her last fight was in July of last year, so it's been a year since Diana's fought, but it's been 2 years since Hannah's fought, since she lost to Granger 2 years ago. So right now, the odds for this fight, Marcel, it's very close. Minus 120 Hannah Goldie, plus 100 Diana Belbita. So what do you think here, man? Who's you going to pick in this one?
Yeah, man, you know, Belbita, in my opinion, if she looks, or if she fought how she looked, she was probably top 5, you know, because I think she looks very good. Yeah, we saw it twice in the UFC, and twice it wasn't good. You know, the Molly McCann fight wasn't good. I remember she had a few moments that were okay in that fight, but wasn't good at all in totally. And I think the Jojua fight, she got beat early. You know, she came from RXF in Romania, I think, where that's one of the biggest organizations in Romania. I know she fought a KSW as well against Ariana Lipski in that huge event, that record-breaking event in Poland, where she also lost by armbar. The thing is, her opponents she fought so far aren't that great either. She won against, you know, she has 2 wins against Anna Maria Paul, and that girl is known for headbutting a guy on a TV show. And you know, I mean, those are not the best fighters you can fight. If you look at Hannah Goldie has one fight in the UFC so far. Very many pullouts due to injury or whatever happened, and now going to 115. Right? I know her first fight was at 125. She lost to Granger. I think it was a close fight. I think she deservedly lost, by the way. But in the other fights I saw her, she looked pretty solid, you know. And I think I kind of be a coin flip because I'm definitely not sure who's going to win. Belbita hasn't shown me anything that I say is UFC caliber, and Hannah Goldie hasn't been consistent in her fighting. She hasn't fought since 2019. It's like 2 years ago. I would take Goldie here. I think it's a safe pick to go with Goldie, and I would take her via decision.
So this one's tough. This is definitely a tough one, guys. I think it's pretty close. I think the odds are probably right. You know, Goldie, I really liked her against Penne earlier this year. I was going to bet on her in that fight. This is a different fight against a different opponent, though, who's a lot younger. Like Belbita is really young. Like you got to remember that. Like this girl's only 25. She just turned 25. She's training in Canada now, actually near me down in Stony Creek, Ontario, which is cool. Training with Kyle Nelson, those guys. So that's kind of cool. She's been there, I think, for like the last year, learning English, which I like. Now, so I honestly didn't really remember much about her. So I was watching her fights again today. There's a lot of them on YouTube. You're right, Marcel. The girls she fought in Romania are terrible. Like they're really bad. They're terrible. Like you guys go watch yourself. They don't know how to keep their chin down. They can't stuff a takedown. So it's hard to get a good read of her. But watching her UFC fights back, you know, man, I know she lost to Molly McCann, but for a girl who's making her debut at a young age, you know, and she did lose pretty bad, like because she was grounded out. Like she was putting up a decent fight though. Like she's hard to get out of there. Like she's very relentless and pushes forward with pressure. And you know, I look at this fight and I don't think Goldie's a great fighter by any means. Like I think she's obviously very physically strong. You look at her, she's very strong. Her technical striking's okay, but she has no power. And I don't think her wrestling's that good either. So to me, like this is a fight between two flawed fighters, but one of the fighters is only 25 years old, and one of the fighters has a 3-inch reach advantage and a 7-inch, reach advantage, which is huge. So I think it's close, but I think Belbita could pull it off as an underdog. So I'm leaning towards her actually, Marcel. I didn't think I would say that before I did the tape study, but after I watched the fights again, even though she's fighting bad competition, I think there's something to like about this girl. I think she can win based on her pressure alone, just like Miranda Granger won her fight against Hannah Goldy, just by pressuring her and pushing her back. I think that's what could happen in this fight. So I'm leaning a little bit towards Diana Belbita. I think it's a close fight, but I would take the upside of the younger fighter with the length and reach advantage and height advantage. All right, let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. We have in the women's flyweight division, Sijara Eubanks against Elise Reed. And the odds for this one, Eubanks right now, minus 310, Elise Reed plus 255. So Eubanks a pretty solid favorite here. What do you think?
Yeah, the question is, can Sijara Eubanks make 125 again? You know, we all know she went from flyweight to 135. At 135, she didn't do bad at first. She won 2, but then she lost to Caitlin Vieira and Penny Kianzad. Elise Reed, she has some good wins, man, in the regional scene, man. She got wins against Jasmine Jasudavicius, who is, by the way, Canadian, so your country women. Yep. She won against Jillian DeCourcy, Hillary Rose at CFFC. It was both for the title, I think. Were 2 title defenses and one for the title against Jasmine Jasudavicius. Before that, she defeated the porn star in Bellator. So, yeah, it's true. I can't say anything else. So yeah, she has looked good, but now she's normally fighting at 115, right? And now she's going to 125 to fight Sijara Eubanks on short notice. Yeah, man, the thing is, I don't think Sijara is that bad of a fighter that many people portray her all the time, you know? I think she's pretty solid. I think her wrestling is good, but she gasses out normally in the 3rd round. Man, it's at flyweight, man. That's what's really putting me off here for Elise Reed, because we all know Sijara Eubanks comes down from 135, right? And I think Eubanks will probably be too strong, man. I think Eubanks for a decision in this one.
Yeah, so I gotta be honest, I didn't know a lot about Elise Reed before this fight was announced. Like I know she fought for CFFC and everything, but I didn't remember watching her fight. So I was watching her fight today. They're on Fight Pass. There's a couple of them. I watched the fight with Jasmine, the Canadian girl. Bro, I don't even think she won that fight. I'll be completely honest with you. She won a split decision. I don't think she won that fight. She was basically on her back for 15 minutes, but she did do a lot for her back. The judges rewarded her for that. But the fact that she was on her back for 15 minutes against someone like Eubanks, that's just a bad sign. Like Eubanks, especially at 125, Marcel, look what she did to Julia Avila. Got her in the ground for 15 minutes and just grounded her out. There's no reason she can't do it in this fight. I think if you look at, I don't think Sarge is a great fighter, but if you look at her losses, she has lost to like really good competition for the most part. Elise Reed to me struggled in that fight, and that's like one of the only UFC. Even the last fight with this girl Hillary Rose, she got dominated in the 1st round. The other girl gassed out, and she was able to finish her in the 2nd. But I haven't been too impressed. And then you said like Rebecca Brigman, right? That's the adult actress, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. That chick. What is she? She's 0-1, so she didn't even. Yeah, that's not a great win. I don't know. Like I wasn't as impressed as I thought I'd be from Reed. I mean, she has an okay game, like the submission game and stuff, but I got to be honest with her, so I wasn't too. I mean, I just didn't even say submission game. She has no subs, but her ground game's okay. Like she can reverse you and stuff, like what she did in some of her fights. She's able to reverse people off her back and do damage and stuff with her elbows and stuff on her back. But the fact she's on her back is such a bad thing at this level of the sport, especially against someone like Sarge, who's going to be hard to submit off her back. So I like Sarge in this one, Marcel. I'm with you. I think she wins. Morgan says, Eubanks lost to Badge, arguably beat Ladd. Yeah, inconsistent her size and experience to get her to win. Solid boxing, wrestling. I agree. That's what I'm thinking too. I think the line, it's a little high. I think at minus 310 is a little bit high, but I think definitely she should be between 2 and 3 to 1 in that range. She should be favored in this fight. It's the odds are right. But again, Sarge is not great, guys. She's 6-6. So, like, is that someone you want to lay big juice on? I don't know. But at the same time, it's all matchups. Everything is a matchup. And in this matchup, I do like Eubanks a little bit. All right, let's go to the next one here. Julio Arce against Andre Ewell. Julio Arce, another fighter on this card, Marcel, dropping a weight class. He's going down to 135. He has not fought in about 2 years now. He takes on Ewell here. The odds for this one, Marcel, minus 190. Julio Arce, plus 165 for Andre Ewell. What do you think?
Yeah, I talked to Julio Arce before, and I asked him back then already why he dropped down to bantam or to where he went up to featherweight, and he's like, I'm really done with cutting weight. You know, he's like, it's really doing its toll on me, so I'm really done with that. And then when he told me he was going back to bantamweight, it's like a year ago or something. I was like, why are you going back again? And he's like, those guys at featherweight are too big for me, and I still can fight with them. You know, it's like I lost 2 split decisions at featherweight, and I won 3 fights in the UFC at featherweight. But those are just too big for me, those guys. So I'm going to bantamweight. So now fighting Andre Ewell. Yeah, Ewell is a good fighter, but also very inconsistent, man. You know, if you look at his last 3 fights, he got a split decision win against Rivera. It should have been unanimous, I think. The Martinez fight, he won. I think Martinez won that fight, to be really honest. And the Kucherev fight, he got also a loss there most recently. I think that he probably still his biggest win in the UFC might be Renan Barao, you know. So, and it was his debut, split decision win in 2018. If you look at Julio Arce was competitive in all of his fights in the UFC, I think. I think in Dawodu he was very competitive, could have gone either way. The Shimon Moraes fight, I remember he was trying to defend punches on the ground with his legs, right? With his feet and with his legs. It was pretty crazy. And he got some nice wins against Erosa and Tamer stoppage. And probably his biggest win is also his debut win against Dan Ige, you know, a decision win in short notice in 2018. So I think it's a pretty close fight. Overall, I think Julio Arce is the better fighter, and I would pick him. Unanimous decision there.
There you go. So I got to be honest, when I'm looking at this fight, you know, I feel like it's close, and I'm looking at it, and, you know, Ewell's got that huge reach, and I'm like, it's kind of intriguing. But then I'm watching the fights again from these guys, especially Arce, because he hasn't fought in forever, so I kind of forgot how he had been fighting. And, man, he's good. You know, he's a solid fighter. He's a good striker, comes from Tiger Schulman. And you can see the striking. Like, he's definitely a capable striker. He's always walking forward. And I think at 135, he's going to be as big as these guys and as strong as them. Like, even at 145, he didn't do that bad. Like, he did well in the 2 losses by split decision, close fights. You know, the guy's good, man. He's got good striking, and, you know, his grappling is okay, I guess. Ewell, I just think, here's the thing with this guy. Like, he's blessed with this height and reach at bantamweight, 5'8" with the 75-inch reach. That's crazy, you know, 75-inch reach. It's almost as long as my arms, and I'm 6'3". I'm 78-inch reach. So this guy is huge for this division, right? The length, but does he really use it that well? Not really. And you look at a fight like the Gutierrez fight, the last one, just getting kicked in the leg, getting backed up the whole fight. This guy doesn't use his reach well. Also got dropped in that fight too. So for me, it's like Ewell could win this fight, and I don't know if I would want to lay the juice on Arce just because I don't know what he's going to look like at 135. But everything I've seen, Arce is the better fighter, so I believe he does win this fight. It's just that with him fighting, having not fought in 2 years, Marcel, and moving down in weight, I'm a little bit worried a little bit just that he might drop this fight because of the ring rust and stuff. But I think I just think he's the better fighter, so he should win for sure. Let's go to the next one here. Adrian Yanez against Randy Costa. This is Marcel's main event of the evening. It's for some reason buried on the prelims. You know, at the end of the day, the card order doesn't really matter. I mean, we're all of us in this chat are probably watching all the fights, so that's, you know, something to keep in mind. But for these guys as like athletes and stuff, it's always better to be on the main card because you probably have more eyeballs. So it just kind of hurts them if anything. So give me your thoughts on this one, Marcel. You got Adrian Yanez here, minus 220, plus 180 for Randy Costa. What do you think, Ben?
It just bothers me still, man. It's like everybody's talking about this fight. Is the UFC not watching social media or whatever? You know what I mean? I mean, they're probably that stupid. But anyway, sorry to say, I gotta say it, man. I'm sorry. I gotta be honest. It's a great fight, man. It's a bantamweight fight. Adrian Yanez against Randy Costa. Yanez has looked great in the UFC so far, man. 2 finishes against Gustavo Lopez and Victor Rodriguez. Got a great, probably one of the best wins in 2020 Contender Series against Brady Hong in the first round, KO in the first 40 seconds, I think. Just an overall solid fighter, man. I really like him. He got a loss on his record against Miles Jones by a split decision.
Yep.
That was for the LFA title back in 2018. But since then, he won all his fights. Only one split decision in between, but all the other fights were finishes. If you look at Randy Costa, when he got signed, I was kind of hesitant with that. He was 4-0, remember, in cage titans against no win against a positive record opponent. Lost to Brandon Davis in his debut, but then won against Boston Salmon and then won against Jordan Newsom, both impressive knockout finishes. Gotta be honest, man, overall I think Adrian Yanez has more, how do you say that? Has more experience to fight better opponents, and has more, he just has more experience. He looks very, very good in the stand-up. I like his ground game is okay, but the stand-up is really sharp, and we also know Costa's stand-up is sharp, but we got to be honest here, man. Yanez has to come back with wins over Carl Estrada in the regional scene. He got a full decision, 5 rounds with Miles Jones, for example. He fought the better competition so far, besides from the UFC competition. I have to go with Yanez here, man. I like Randy Costa a lot, but I gotta go with Adrian Yanez here. Will it be a finish? I don't know, man, but it will definitely be a fight of the night if it will not be a finish. But I gotta think that Yanez will probably finish the fight. I'm going with a late 3rd round stoppage for Adrian Yanez in this one.
Yeah. No, I love this fight. I think it's definitely one of the best fights in the card, no doubt about it. Should be opening in the main card up. I mean, this fight's going to be fireworks as long as it lasts. So I really like both guys. I really, really like both these fighters, man. They're both very good young fighters. I'll just start with Costa quickly. The guy is super explosive. Like, he is super explosive. Huge power in that first round. And the way he switches his stance and is able to do it so fluidly and with power is unbelievable to watch. The last 2 knockouts were just amazing. I really like this fighter. He's definitely someone to keep an eye on. But the problem with this guy is I watched that Brandon Davis fight again, and it's like, he can't do it past a round. He has no gas tank. That's the problem here, guys. He has 5 minutes of gas. So I'm worried about this dude's gas tank. I really am, after seeing that Brandon Davis fight, because he wasn't able to put Brandon away. And then the second round, Brandon had more gas and was able to basically bully him on the feet and then get him down and submit him on the ground. I realized that was his debut in the UFC. He's obviously improved since then, but he's not facing anyone easy here in Adrian Yanez, who's a stud. I mean, Yanez is just super, super good. He's so, just talented everywhere. And I think he's definitely a guy who's going to be a feature contender. I've been saying this for a while now. Like, you guys know how much I liked him in the last couple fights. I really like the guy. I like both fighters, but I like Yanez more. And to me, he's the more measured striker and the more technical striker. Randy Costa has more power, and he's a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more awkward, I guess, in unorthodox, which definitely works in MMA. But I just think Yanez is super technical. He doesn't really get hit much. And I think that, as a full, complete MMA fighter, I think that he has been improving the other aspects of his game too. So I'm thinking Yanez does win too, Marcel. And the thing is, with Randy gassing so bad in that fight with Brandon Davis, I do think there's a chance that Yanez could finish him late too. So I'm kind of leaning towards a late finish like you are, man. I'm actually on the same page a little bit with that same kind of feeling about the cardio, but it could go to decision too. Either way, I do expect Yanez to be the cleaner striker and win the fight. Should be a great fight though. I love this fight, guys. Yanez wins, just call him Mali. That'd be a good one. What'd you say?
Ladies and gentlemen, Adam goes against Sanford MMA.
I know. It's at the end of the day, I mean, I really like, Costa and Sanford, but it's just Yanez is a special fighter. I really Cole says I don't be surprised if Costa wrestles, especially if training Sanford. That's why he went there. It's how Yanez lost to John Zaplarte. It's true. I believe those are split decision losses. They were close fights, but you're right. I mean, that was how he would probably lose. I mean, it seems like that is the weakness of this game, the grappling, if anything. But I just think that the striking is very good. All right, Ian Heinisch against Nasruddin Imavov. I mean, this looks like a competitive fight. Minus 150 for Ian Heinisch, plus 130 for Imavov. What do you think of this one, man?
It's a super odd fight, to be really honest, if you look ranking-wise, because Heinisch is still ranked, and Imavov lost his last fight against Haas. And wasn't really a loss. It was very close, and Haas did a lot of wrestling in that, and Imavov did a lot of punching, and almost punched him out in the third round. It was a very close fight. This matchup might make me think that the UFC actually thought that Imavov won the fight. You know what I mean? Because they gave him Heinisch now, a ranked fighter. It's like what's Heinisch going to do, man? Heinisch has looked good against a few opponents he should look good against. For example, I think Gerald Mearshart. He looked good against Antonio Carlos Jr. and Cesar Ferreira, but the 3 fights he lost are concerning, man. Omari Akhmedov loss is concerning to me. Derek Brunson is not, because you can lose against it. But Kelvin Gastelum, he didn't have anything for Kelvin in that fight, in my opinion, man. Maybe you disagree, but
I agree with you. I actually agree. I was surprised how I thought Ian could win that fight, and he just did nothing for him. So I'm with you.
Yeah, so I expect if Heinisch will win against Imavov, he has to probably go the Phil Haas way and try to get him down and out-wrestle him. But I don't think it's going to happen, man. I think Imavov will hit the switch and will probably KO him. And probably later in the fight, I'm going with a third-round KO for Nasruddin Imavov. Imavov hasn't looked amazing in the UFC, but he has looked solid so far, in my opinion, man. So I'm going with Imavov in this one.
I got to be honest. I think this fight's really close. I'm a little bit on the fence on this one, guys. So I don't think I can give you a 100% confident pick like I have some other fights right now. I'm gonna look a little bit deeper into this one because I think it's just such a close fight. Like they remind me of each other a little bit. I feel like this one's going to be these guys just against the fence for 15 minutes, jockeying position against the cage. That's honestly what I feel like the fight's going to play out, Marcel. Can you see that happening too?
It's possible, definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be an exciting fight. I think it's going to be a boring fight. I think it'll look like Haas and Imavov, just pushing against the fence. Williams and Imavov is very similar. It's a tough fight to call. I mean, Heinisch has looked good at times. He's looked amazing against Mearshart, good against Freya and Jr., but he's lost 3 of his last 4 and didn't look good in those fights and got wrestled. Just weird. Like sometimes he looks really good and other times he looks really bad. And Imavov, I think he has looked decent. And he's got a lot of upside with the height and reach. It's a close fight. You know what, man? I guess I would lean towards Imavov too. I think you might be onto something in this one. I think it's close, but I look at the upside. He's only 25 years old. Ian's 32, and to me, Ian really has not been performing much lately. And as someone who did bet on Imavov in his last fight, I mean, I thought it could have been a draw if anything. I don't know if he won the fight, but I think wasn't there like a 10-8 round? One of the judges had a 10-8.
It's
right?
possible, yeah.
Yeah. So it was close, and like you're saying, the matchmakers are probably acting like it was a win for him. So they thought that he won the fight. So obviously they're giving you a chance in your fight someone top 15. Again, it's a close fight. I'm like this right now, but I guess I would lean towards the plus 130 if I had to, in a close fight. A guy who's a little bit taller, a little bit younger, a little bit longer. I guess that's the guy I'd lean towards now that I think about it a bit more. But, Heinisch is definitely a solid fighter. So I just think it's going to be a very close fight. I'm pretty sure that fight goes the distance too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I know you said finish, but I think it goes the distance. Heinisch is pretty durable, man. All right, this fight, Punahele Soriano and Brendan Allen. Can't wait to all this one with you. I think this fight's incredible. I think this is another fight of the night candidate. I don't know why this fight's in the prelims when Mickey Gall and George Williams open up the main card. Someone explain that to me. Going against another Stanford fight. I know, right? Oh, you're going to hear this one too, Cole. You're not going to like this one then. We got Puna Soriano from Extreme Couture against Sanford MMA's Brendan Allen. I love this fight. It's a pick'em. It's literally a pick'em minus 110 each. So what do you think, man?
Yeah, so what you said right now, I think we have a different pick in this one. So Punahele Soriano, he is undefeated in the UFC. He's undefeated in his whole career, but does he have the tools to go 3 rounds against Arnold Allen, I want to say, against Brendan Allen? I don't know, man. He probably, if he wins this fight, he has to knock him out in the first round, I think. That's how I see it, Brendan Allen didn't look good in his last fight against Sean Strickland. I was kind of surprised by that, not because Strickland is bad, but I expected more from Allen, But yeah, he's now getting Puna Soriano. The thing is, he has to make sure that Puna doesn't hit him in the first round, because if Puna hits him, he's out. That's what's going to happen if Puna hits him. But I have faith in Allen that he knows how to keep distance. He's working with Henry Hooft. He's at Sanford right now, and I expect him to know to take distance, to manage distance, and to keep it. If it stays on the feet, to keep his distance. But on the ground, he's probably a better fighter, I think, than Puna Soriano. So I expect Allen to keep his distance in the first round, try to gas Puna Soriano, and wins the fight 29-28 via grappling in the second and third round.
There you go. Yeah, again, I like both guys. It's just like the Costa and Inez fight. Like, I don't like picking against either guy because I like them both. But, I made the mistake against picking against Puna in his last fight with Dusko. I'm not making that mistake again. This guy's phenomenal. He is phenomenal. His wrestling is really good, and this guy has absolute bricks in his hand. Like, he can knock anyone out. He's super aggressive, always walking forward, throws bombs from the southpaw stance. Absolutely love it. And again, what I like about him is he's also a good wrestler. It's not just striking. He's a good wrestler too. Allen is too one-dimensional for me. I love the kid. I really do. You guys know I bet on him in the last fight with Carl Robertson. It was a nice win. I bet on him a couple times on the UFC. I think he's a really good fighter, but the fight with Sean Strickland just it worries the hell out of me. I'm looking at that fight and I'm like, man, he couldn't get him down and was absolutely screwed when the fight was staying on the feet. I think the same thing happens here, honestly. I think he's in trouble if he can't get him down. So I'm leaning towards Punella Soriano. It's a pick 'em fight, so obviously it's close. But, I think Puna can knock him out maybe too. I do favor Puna in this fight, guys. I just think with the grappling, with his dominant wrestling, he's very good in top control. I think Allen will struggle getting him to the ground, especially in that first round where he's so dangerous with the knockout power. So close fight for sure, as the odds indicate, but I'm leaning towards Puna. I like this guy a lot, man. He's very good. No props out for this fight, but like, sorry, TKO. Me too. I'm thinking that too. Yep, the rankings update. Islam's 4th. He's good. That's crazy. I mean, he beat Moises, who was 14th, and jumped to 4th. Okay, that doesn't make sense. I'm not even going to argue with what Cole. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Mickey Gall and Jordan Williams. Let's talk about this one. Current odds. Minus 165 for Jordan Williams. Plus 145 for Mickey Gall. What do you think of this one? Why is this fight opening the main card? Because I look at this fight, I think the loser gets cut. Why is this opening the main card? Explain to me.
I don't understand it, man. Maybe they're still trying to build Gall or something. I have no idea.
Come on.
I mean, yeah. Mickey Gall dodged the bullet when he withdrew against Miguel Baeza. We all know that, let's be honest. I have nothing against Mickey Gall, man, But I think he's not really UFC caliber, man. Let's be honest. No disrespect to the guy. But against Mike Perry, dude, Mike Perry even looked better than Gall on the ground. I mean,
I know.
How? That's really concerning to me. And Mike Perry is really not that good on the ground at all. Now you got Jordan Williams, who comes down from middleweight to welterweight right now. Got a good win in the Contender Series against Gregory Obama Rodriguez via KO in the first round. Lost to Imavov in a close fight, I think, in his debut. But the thing is, Williams is aggressive, early in the fight. And maybe if Gall can take him to the ground, Gall can control him there. But I'm really not going to go with Mickey Gall in this fight, man. I just can't, I don't see it. If you get pretty much out-grappled at some moments by Mike Perry, why would I go with him? You know what I mean? Gall's best way to win is on the ground. And that's always his best way to win. Yeah. I don't see it, man. So I'm going with Jordan Williams in this one. Probably a decision. It's not a fight I'm really looking forward to, be really honest, man. But I'm going with Jordan Williams.
I feel very, very similar about this fight again. I don't know why it's opening the main card. This should have been buried in the prelims. Again, they really like Mickey Gall, I guess, still, but I don't. I think he's an okay fighter, and that's it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think Jordan Williams is some stud by any means, but the guy does have good striking, good boxing, and he's got power. And his wrestling's not bad. It's not too bad. Like, he can get on top of you, and also he can stuff the takedowns. Like that fight with Ramazan Kurmagomedov, like that guy had a problem taking him down. That guy's pretty good. Like you said, the knockover at Gregory Rodriguez, that looks really good now, doesn't it, guys? Like after Rodriguez had his amazing fight, so in his debut. So I would lean towards Williams here. It's just like, I'm not thrilled about this fight by any means. You know what I mean, Marcel? It doesn't get me excited, but I have to lean towards Williams. I do think to me, he's the better striker, and I think that's what it comes down to. The fight's probably going to take place on the feet. I just don't see the improvements from Gall in the striking that I've wanted to see. Now, I'm really looking forward to hearing what your thoughts on this one are. And I want to hear Cole's thoughts because I think he interviewed both, or just interviewed Macy anyways. But Macy Barber returns. She's taking on Miranda Maverick here. This matchmaking surprised me, Marcel. I really thought they'd give them, veterans, both of them, but they gave them each other, which is surprising. But the winner's going to get, I would imagine, a top 10 opponent their next fight. So it's an interesting matchup. Minus 130 for Miranda Maverick, plus 110 for Macy Barber. So this guy, Chris London, who listens to this podcast, sent me a message yesterday on Twitter and was asking if I could give some thoughts on the line movement. So the line movement is interesting in this fight because Macy opened as the favorite, but the line quickly flipped. And Miranda got all this money early in coming in on her. I remember when the line opened, people were like, oh, Miranda's minus 150. That's good value. Now the line's going even down. People are betting on Macy. So the line's it's going like this, basically. It's really weird. Give me your thoughts on this fight, man.
Yeah, I mean, both are still very young. Macy Barber is 23 years of age, and Miranda Maverick is 24. So Macy Barber, she lost her last two fights. We know against Roxanne Modafferi, she got injured, but still she lost. And against Alexa Grosso, she lost as well. So before that, she had some good wins, man. She won against Jillian Robertson, which also Miranda Maverick has a win against, but that was a decision. Macy TKO'd her in the first round. She also got wins over Eldridge and over Cyphers. The thing is, I don't know, man. She's the new camp again. She's now a Team Alpha Male, I think. So maybe some improvements there. Miranda Maverick, I know you were really high on her when they signed her in the UFC. She came off that tournament win in Invicta, right? And I mean, she also had a win against Pro Gonzalez right before she went to the UFC. Wins over Liana Jojua with the doctor stoppage with a huge cut over Jojua's nose, I think. And the Jillian Robertson fight was good. So the thing is, style versus style. I think Barber can do some stuff to Maverick, but I don't really feel comfortable picking Barber against Maverick right now. I think Maverick has looked super solid so far. And I kind of paid extra attention last time, because you told me I was still on Robertson in that fight, and you were like, "Nah, man, Maverick's gonna win that." You were super sure about that one, and Maverick impressed me. So Barber hasn't impressed me so far anymore since her win against Gillian Robertson. So the thing is, I'm going with Maverick here, man. I think it's a close fight, but I'm taking Maverick via decision.
Yeah, it's definitely competitive for sure. A little bit more competitive, I think, when I was watching back the fights again. But I do like Maverick, obviously. I mean, I'm not going to go against my girl now. I mean, she's good, man. They're both decent young fighters, don't get me wrong, but I think Maverick's someone that I think she could be someone that gives okay, I don't know if she's going to win the championship, don't get me wrong, because Valentina's pretty good. But I think she could get there. I think she could fight for the belt in a few years, She's good grappler, good on top especially. And I think her striking's quite good too. I think it's underrated. I think people don't talk about her striking enough. It's quite good. And I look at Macy, and obviously that's what everyone talks about, her striking. It's the other way around. Everyone's talking about her striking. She's got power, right? She's a big girl. She has power. But her striking defense is really bad too. That's one thing I noticed when I was watching back her fights. Keeps her chin right up in the air. And she was getting tagged by that girl, JJ Aldrich, getting dominated in that fight. And then JJ kind of gassed out and she took over. But that worries me, man. I got to be honest, against someone who is capable on the feet and on the ground like Miranda Maverick. I like Miranda Maverick in this fight, guys, honestly. I think she wins this fight. We get the comments here. Go ahead. Yeah, jump in. I'll get the comments. Go ahead.
Can I also add, I think Macy really went poor when she lost her first fight as well in the UFC, man. She really didn't take that very well. And then she lost another one. She got pretty much silent, because she was really like, I'm going to be the first youngest champion, this and that. And it's good to have confidence, as a young athlete. I only support that. But it's not good when you are too confident in what you do and don't want to see the mistake you made in the first fight and purely put it on the injury. You know what I mean? And there was something like, and then her dad came also into it, which was really weird, And I hope for her, man, she can come back not in a good way, But this is a tough task, man. A 2-fight losing skip and then going against Maverick, who has really got the streak going. So yeah, I mean, it's a super tough fight, I think.
I think it's a tough fight for her too. And again, I'm looking at that fight with Grasso, the last fight, taken down by Grasso a couple times too. That's a worry for me. That is a worry, guys. And again, Modafferi dominates her, She's super young. She's only 23. But again, Maverick's only 24. She's it's just, I don't love the matchmaking. I don't think I would have did this matchup, but I got to go with my girl Miranda. Valerie's asking how good is Maverick on her back. Well, I think Jillian is like one of the best back takers in the sport in that division, and she wasn't able to submit her. And she had her, I think, in the second round. I want to say Jillian did really well, but then after that, you saw her just explode and get on top. So I mean, who's really that good on their back at this point? Not too many people. So I don't think Macy's going to put her back. I think if anything, Macy would win on the feet. You know, like you said, I guess Macy does have some ground and pound too. So I guess if she did get on top, I just think Maverick's too strong. And Sammy Davis, man, you hit the nail on the head here, my man. Farm girl strength. This girl, I love that about her. I remember when I broke down the last fight, that was one of the points I made. Like, this girl lives on a farm. Like, she grew up on a farm. She's so focused on her fighting career and on her school. Like, I was listening to an interview with her before the last fight with Jillian. She was saying how, like, because she's a full-time student and a full-time athlete, she has to, like, manage, like, every 15-minute segment of her day. It's crazy, you know? But I like what this girl's doing. Let me just get some more comments. Borgen says he likes Barber plus money. Grassel's a stud. Her ACL got torn versus Rocket. No doubt about it. I agree with both those comments. Cole says she said her striking move much better. She took 2 rounds to get her time back. That's true, too. I can see that. Manny says Maverick's very mature. I think so, too, man. I really like that about her. Whereas, and I would hope that Macy's a little bit more mature, but I still can't. That when she took the mic from Roxanne, that really bothered me. You know, Marcel?
That was stupid.
That was terrible. I think Rogan gave it to her, didn't he? Like, it was really stupid. Anyways, it was a long time ago. Straight wager, Barber's overrated, beatable, and it's always a big bet. Yeah, Macy's at her best when she's a pressure fighter. She lost on the outside. I agree with that, too. Marcus says, I'm surprised the UFC made this matchup, Barber against Maverick. They're 2 marketable young prospects. I wouldn't have booked the fight. I'm with you. I don't love the matchmaking here. But again, you know, at this point in Macy's career, it's almost like it's sink or swim. They really just want to see, can she hang with someone that's – I think Maverick's ranked 15, right? So, I mean, can she hang with the 15th ranked fighter? I'm not sure.
I think Maverick is now 13 and Barber is 14.
Okay, so they flipped now. Of course they flipped, right? That always happens. All right, so we're both on the agreement in that one. All right, 4 fights left, guys. We'll go to this one here, featherweight division. Darren Elkins, Derek Minner, interesting fight. Right now, Derek Minner minus 155, Darren Elkins the damage plus 135. What do you think, man?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've picked Darren Elkins so many times, you know, and the thing is, every time I pick him, he actually, in my opinion, won, but he didn't get the fight because he got so much damage on his face. If you look at Darren Elkins' most recent fights, he won against Garagori in a fight he should have won, and indeed, you know, he stopped Garagori. I think he's a better fighter than Garagori. The fight before, I think we talked about that many times, the Nate Landwehr fight, where he lost. I think he won that fight, in my opinion, but he got so much damage on his face that the judges were easily swayed to Landwehr. I've been in huge discussions on that on Twitter because people were like, "You're absolutely insane." I was like, "No, just watch the fight and stop watching it with commentary. Maybe you see yourself." If you look at Derek Minner, I've underestimated him many times, to be really honest, man. He came to UFC as a regional veteran. You know, he fought for so many promotions. Lost to Grant Dawson, but he won the first round. He did very good in the first round. Then he got submitted in the second. The TJ Laramie fight was surprising to me. I didn't expect that to happen. He won first round guillotine choke. And then he defeated Charles Rosa as well. I think you picked him. I didn't. So, yeah, the thing here is, what I'm going to do here. I think it will be a close fight. I think Darren Elkins will come bloody out again. I think it will, like I said, a close fight. So Derek Minner is going to win the fight by unanimous decision because Darren Elkins will be very bloody again, and the judges will be easily swayed to Derek Minner here. And maybe Derek Minner also wins the fight. I don't say he doesn't, but the thing is, if this goes to decision and we see Darren Elkins open again with bloody and all over him, Derek Minner gets the fight. I think it will be decision. I think it will be a fun fight. I'm going with Derek Minner.
Yeah, this one's pretty competitive too, I think. I'm a little bit on the fence with this one as well. You know, just because of the matchup, the stylistic matchup, right? Like, because Derek Minner obviously is a great grappler. I mean, we know that, right? Like, he's phenomenal, especially at top position. He's just amazing. And even off his back, I mean, there's not many guys with the triangle ability like he has. So he's just really good everywhere, but I'm still not sold on the striking and everything. You know, I don't know if he's a complete fighter yet, but he is trained with James Krause and those guys. He's trained with Grant Dotson now. It's his main training partner. So, I mean, he's trained with a great camp. I just think the guy's a flawed fighter because you look at his record, a lot of stoppage losses, guys. So he's definitely not amazing, but he has gotten better. Darren Elkins, on the other hand, I just look at him, 37 years old now, so much. They call him the Damage. Literally, it's such a good nickname for him, right? Because every fight, Marcel, his face is just cut up, bloody. And again, that's why he lost to Nate Lambert, because I thought he outstruck Nate in that fight, but the cuts.
Same.
What judge is not going to see that, right? So I get it. I understand. I get it. But, the guy's been in some competitive fights. It's hard to finish. It's just like he's been in so many wars, man. You know what I mean? Like at this point, I don't know. And I look at one other thing. His takedown defense is in the 50% range, guys. It's not good. So he can be taken down too. So, if Derek Minner gasses, I think Darren could win. I mean, remember that Mirsad Bektic fight? Mirsad gassed out and he got knocked out. That could happen here because Minner, I don't think his gas tank's amazing. But, yeah, I think we got to fade Elkins, man. He's just too old, Marcel. He's 37 now, coming off all these I know he beat Garrett Gorey, but I don't believe that guy's in the UFC, right? Eduardo, he got caught. So, anyways, it's competitive, guys. I'm just leaning a little bit towards Minner, but I'm going to think a little bit more about this fight this week. I will think about it more.
If you asked me this fight 5 years ago, I might go with Elkins.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah. Born against 35 is old at 145, especially if an athletic guy. I agree completely. That is such a concern now that I'm looking at it. Like 37 is old. I'll get these comments. I want to get Cole's comment too. Borgen says he's not great off his back. Elkins, can he stuff the takedowns? I'm not sure. I think he can stuff some of them, but I don't think he can stuff all of them. And I mean, Minner's one of those guys that's relentless, right? Like he'll just go for the takedowns until he gets it. I want to answer Cole's comment because I think it's a good comment, but also I want to respond to it, Cole, because he says, I don't get why people are saying they don't like the matchmaking. He's talking about Barber Maverick. What's the difference between this and Costa Yanez? The difference, Cole, in my opinion, is Macy's coming off 2 straight losses. That's the problem here. That's the only difference. If she was coming off a win, I wouldn't mind it, but she's coming off 2 losses and at risk of losing 3 straight fights at age 23. That's risky. So yeah, that's my thought.
I mean, Costa and Yanez come from wins, 2 wins. And so if one of them loses, it doesn't really, maybe drops their stack a little bit, but not a lot, They can still work. Macy loses 3 in a row. It's tough, and definitely at that age, how you come back, you still can come back, Many people have come back from 3 losses in a row, but it's still tough, and definitely with somebody like Macy Barber, we said, like I said, she wanted to become the youngest champion in the division, and she was determined to become that one. And now if she got 3 losses in a row, it's really discouraging, So that's why it's not the best way of matchmaking. Or if the UFC want to see probably if Macy still got it, and still can make that step to the top of the division, they maybe want to see if she can. And if she can, they go with Maverick and maybe see Macy even cut, if she loses 3 in a row. It wouldn't be really surprising to me if they do it.
Isn't it weird how we have 2 Macy's on the roster and they're both on this card? I just realized that. I just realized that. Oregon says Andrew Lee didn't get cut after 3 straight losses. Not only she didn't get cut, Marion Renault just had 5 losses in a row and she wasn't cut. She retired, but she didn't get cut after 4 straight. Kaylin Curran was 1-6 in the UFC until she got cut. She was one of the. Remember her? She wasn't good at all.
Yeah, definitely the Hawaiian girl.
Yeah, she wasn't good. I think what was her record? I gotta see it. Back in the old days, the podcast was I remember I used to be like, why is this girl in the 4-7? Her overall record, Marcel. Holy crap, that's bad. Mm-hmm. And she got 4 straight. Yeah, you're right. I don't think they'll cut Macy if she loses. Now, if she loses 4 straight, she loses her next fight. Yeah, but I think if she does lose, they'll give her. I would hope they give her like whoever's the worst fighter in this division. I can't even think who it would be right now. Who's the worst fighter at flyweight? Antonina?
It's 125.
Or Arian Lipsky. Arian Lipsky.
Who isn't ranked at 1? Priscilla Cachoeira?
There you go. There's one. The girl she beat, Gina Mazzani. That's the one you can beat the fight. Yeah, the girl got knocked out. All right.
If she's still there.
Yeah, 3 fights left. Kyler Phillips and Raleigh and Paiva at 135. Love this fight. Raleigh and Paiva, guys, make sure you realize he's moving up on weight here. He was supposed to fight at flyweight a few weeks ago, I think, and he got sick. And the fight with, I can't remember who it was. Let me double check. It fell apart the last second. David Dvorak, and Dvorak fought some guy, Juan Carlos Camilo. Yeah, and that guy just tested positive for weed apparently. Like that matters. So stupid. Anyways, so Kyler Phillips right now. Go ahead.
Wasn't weed, by the way. I think it was cocaine.
Oh, it was cocaine? Oh, there you go. That is partying. Wow, geez, man. That's crazy. Minus 265 for Kyler Phillips, plus 225 for Raleigh and Paiva. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, so Raleigh and Paiva, Man, dude has a tough life. We all know. If you don't know his story, look it up. He was with. I gotta tell this for people who
Yeah,
don't know
go
it.
ahead.
Um, he was with his girlfriend at a bar. His girlfriend got in a certain bad conversation with people, so they left the bar. When they were on his bike or his motorbike or whatever, they got hit by a car on purpose. She was dead. He was injured. So very bad. After that, he was going to fight in a contender series. He really didn't felt to do anymore, but his girlfriend was always determined, like, do what you have to do this for your career. You're finally there. Go do it. And with that in mind, he did it, and he won a split decision. Great fight against Alan Nascimento. Got signed by the UFC. Then loses in his debut against Kai Kara France, a split decision, which was a home cooking decision in my opinion. I think he won that fight. After that, he got a cut against Rogerio Bontorin. He just had some bad luck. Then he won two straight now against Mark De La Rosa and Zelga Zumagulov. And the Zumagulov fight was kind of wasn't. I think Zumagulov could have won this fight. Let's be really honest. Now Carla Phillips, this is a tough task, man. Carla Phillips has looked really solid in the UFC so far. Was supposed to fight Rafael Sensao, now gets Paiva. Um, Man, I love Kyler Phillips, man, how he's looked in the UFC. His debut was great against Gabriel Silva, was a fight of the night performance. Then he stopped Cameron Else in the second round, was also performance of the night. And then he finally is the first guy to stop or to win against Song Yadong in the UFC, officially win against Song Yadong in the UFC. So for me, it's like for Kyler Phillips, this is actually a weird fight, for him to take against Paiva, a guy in the flyweight division. But it's a tough fight, I think. I think Paiva is a really good fighter. Kyler Phillips is as well. Uh, I got to go with Kyler Phillips. It breaks my heart, honestly, to go not with Paiva, but I got to go with Kyler Phillips, man. I think Phillips has all things going for him. He looks good on the ground. He's solid with his striking. I really like him. I think he can go far in the division. I'm not going with a finish, but this is also a contender for fight of the night, in my opinion. I'm going with a decision win for Kyler Phillips in this one.
Yeah, no, I love this fight. And they're both super young. They're only Kyler's 26 and Rallian's 25, so they're super young. I am worried about Rallian coming back so soon after that weight cut miss. That does worry me a little bit. Like, I'm surprised he didn't take more time off because, if a guy's not cleared to fight on weigh-in day, I mean, they usually are in the hospital, right, from a bad weight cut. So I don't know exactly what happened. Obviously, we weren't there, but we just know that he didn't fight, and that does concern me. For me, I think Paiva definitely is being a little bit undervalued here. I think the line is a little bit too high. As much as I like Phillips, I think he's great. I just think I look at Phillips almost 3-1 now. Some books 3-1. I mean, that's a little high for a guy who's an underdog in his last fight, which I hate. I love the plus money. And I like the kid. Don't get me wrong. I think Phillips is great. I think this guy, I think he wins the fight. I'm going to pick him. I just think the line's a little high because Paiva definitely is a good striker too, man. Good ground game. So he might be a better fighter at 135. That just adds another variable to this fight that I hate. And, as much as I like Phillips, that third round did worry me in that last fight, Marcel against Yadong. That third round. Because he was dominating that fight, and then he just gassed so hard. I was surprised by that. I still think he probably gets the win here. I'm thinking decision too, like you. And the one thing I'll say is, his striking's great, but I think he does have good grappling too, underrated grappling. And in the last fight with Yadong, he would go for those takedowns to seal the rounds, and I like to see that. So smart fighter, good fight IQ. I like Kyler Phillips, man. I think he wins, but again, I just think the line's a little bit high, considering again he was an underdog in his last fight. So for him to go to 3-1 favorite now, that's a big turn. 2 fights left, guys. Co-main event, Aspen Ladd, Macy Chiasson, women's 135. Minus 175 for Aspen Ladd, plus 155, Macy Chiasson. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I like Aspen Ladd a lot, man. I think she's a great fighter. She got one loss in the UFC and in her whole career against Jermaine Durandamy, that quick fight. But besides that, man, she looks good against Yana Kunitskaya. She look good against Eubanks. Avenger Landsberg, she got all those wins, and before that, she looked good in Invicta as well. She's a really solid fighter. I like her ground game a lot. I think her striking is okay, but her ground game is pretty good, and her ground and pound is vicious. If you look at Macy Chiasson, also a good fighter, but doesn't have the names on her record that Aspen Ladd has. She defeated Marion Renault, who lost 6 in a row. She defeated Shanna Young, who wasn't in her league, to be really honest. Lena Landsberg, she lost against her unanimous decision. That was surprising to me, man. I thought Chiasson would really do whatever she wanted in that fight. I think she was a heavy favorite in that one as well, but she didn't. And before that, against Sarah Morris, she didn't really look good in the first round, I think, but she came back and she defeated her. So for me, it's like I think Chiasson is still young. I think she is, was she 27, 28, 29? How old is she? I don't know. But I think she's still pretty young for the division. Um,
Aspen?
no, Macy Chiasson.
Okay, Aspen is 26. Macy, the double check, 29. So a little bit older.
Whoa, she's even older. Okay, crazy. I think Aspen is much more experienced, to be really honest, and I think Aspen is overall a better fighter. I think Aspen in this fight, I think she finishes the fight with ground and pound as well.
Wow.
So
Wow,
maybe
there
a
you
second
go.
or third round. Yeah.
That's the bold prediction here because I don't think predicting Lad to win is bold, but I think getting a finish would be bold because she's what's her name? Chiasson's never been finished. Well, she was stopped as an amateur, but never been as a professional. I like both fighters too. Again, there's some good fights in this card because, and this is another one. Both fighters are good fighters. The winner gets a title shot. Would you say? You think they're going to get Nunes?
I don't know, man. You have Irene Aldana who defeated Yana Kunitskaya. You got Tate. What I know it's not a title shot worthy, but you don't know. There is a story there.
By the way, I just saw some hilarious tweet. Misha Tate has the same amount of wins in the last 5 years as Mr. Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor. Yeah, I saw that as well.
That's too funny. All right, so my thoughts on this fight. I think they're both good fighters. Chiasson, I like a lot. I think she's got good striking. We saw that against Renault. I think she broke her nose in that fight, right? That pretty much turned the fight around. Decent grappling too, but again, I do look at that fight with Nina Landsberg. And that one, it was 2 years ago, but still, the fact she's controlled by pardon?
Super weird, man, to me as well.
It's like one of those fights like Michael Johnson, Dustin Poirier, where you scratch your head and go, how did he win? Or like what's his name? Dennis Hallman and Matt Hughes. Remember he beat him twice? Like there's always these there's always these weird wins and losses in MMA. Anyways, I don't think Macy's as bad as she was in that fight, but I don't think she's as good as maybe she's shown at times either. I think she's a decent, solid fighter. Is she a title contender? I don't know. Lad, to me, seemed like someone that could be here for a while. Like, you saw what she did to Yana. Even the other fights with, like, Evinger and Eubank just dominated them. I mean, her ground and pound is vicious, right? Like Landsberg, too. Gets in top position on the ground, this fight could be a wrap. So, I don't know. I mean, she hasn't fought in 2 years. That's the concern here. She has not fought in a while. And she's coming off a major ACL injury or knee injury. So, that's also a concern. And also, I mean, we've seen her have tough weight cuts, Marcel. She's a big fighter for this division. And the Jermaine Durandamy fight, the flash knockdown, probably because of a bad weight cut early in that fight, that's always a concern with Aspen Ladd. But I think overall as an MMA fighter, she's the better, more well-rounded fighter. I would lean towards her in this fight. I'm just saying Chiasson, she has a path to victory if she can keep it standing because I think she does have probably a better striking and power. All right, main event time, guys. Last fight. TJ Dillashaw versus Cory Sandhagen. Marcel, I can't wait to talk about this one with you, man. It's going to be fun. Let me get this comment quickly. Jose said Michael Johnson, faster hands at Dustin, good takedown defense to avoid Dustin's grappling. For sure, no doubt about it. I mean, there's a reason he won the fight. I'm just saying, like, it's one of those ones where people look at and they see what Dustin's done since then and they see what Michael Johnson's done since then, and it just makes you go, like, how did that happen, right? But I know you're saying, Jose, every matchup's different, right? And that's why we do see upsets like that because it's matchup dependent. So let's talk about this one. Cory Sandhagen, TJ Dillashaw. Right now, Cory Sandhagen minus 190, TJ Dillashaw plus 165, former teammates in Denver, Colorado. So interesting fight here, Marcel. TJ Dillashaw has not fought in over 2 years due to a PED suspension, which he has been open out front about. Cory Sandhagen coming off a flying knee knockout win over Frankie Edgar. Marcel, give me your pick for the main event of UFC Vegas 32.
Cory Sandhagen against TJ Dillashaw, or how we call it, Cole Shelton's wet dream. It's a great fight. Yeah, man, I love this fight. What can you say? Cory Sandhagen has looked phenomenal in the UFC. He only got one loss against Aljamain Sterling, a quick one. But after that, man, knocking out Marlon Moraes with a wheel kick and then knocking out Frankie Edgar with a flying knee within 30 seconds. That's how you go back, or that's how you come back after a loss, a quick loss against Sterling. You look amazing, I think. Also, if you look at TJ Dillashaw, yeah, it's been such a long time ago, right? He is 35 now. He hasn't fought for 2 years. Finally back, 2.5 years actually. Last fight against Henry Cejudo got knocked out within 32 seconds. And I think that will have its toll on TJ by not fighting such a long time. Fighting now a very hungry contender in Cory Sandhagen, a former teammate. Those guys know how they fight, what they do. I'm going with a bold prediction here. I think Cory Sandhagen knocks him out in the first round.
Whoa, there you go. There's a bold prediction. I'll tell you that one right now. I want to get these comments. Born Again says Sandhagen by TKO plus 160. Cole says So he's with you. Cole says, maybe I'm crazy. I still have questions about Sandhagen. Can he go 5 rounds? Has he improved his takedown defense and grappling since the Sterling loss? For my pick, I picked Dillashaw by late TKO. I think he wrestles Sandhagen 10 years ago. That's definitely possible too, Cole. So this is an interesting fight, obviously. I mean, TJ Dillashaw, you know, I was so disappointed when I heard that he did test positive because his resurgence or his emergence as a champion when he beat Barao and stuff, that was unbelievable. I mean, what he did was amazing, but it's so tainted now, Marcel. He was obviously on juice the whole time, so it just makes me question his whole career now. I just wonder, what?
Can we say that maybe TJ Dillashaw ruined Renan Barao's career?
Possibly, for sure. I mean, it's definitely possible to say that. I mean, Renan was never the same. No, don't get me wrong. TJ was still a good fighter even before that. I mean, the guy's obviously got wrestling, comes from a wrestling background. The striking is phenomenal. We know that. But 2.5-year layoff is really concerning me, for sure. I almost fade anyone coming off that layoff. This card's interesting because you have 4 or 5 guys coming off layoffs, guys. You have obviously TJ, Aspen Ladd. She's a female, but she's coming off a layoff. Then you have, what's his name? Julio Arce coming off a layoff. And Goldie, also a long layoff. 4 fighters with 2-year layoffs. That's interesting. Will they all 4 of them lose? I don't think so. So I think one of them will probably win. Don't know who it's going to be, but I don't see all of the 4 of the layoff fighters losing either. I did pick 2 of them to win, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting fight just because I still feel like saying I'm with Cole. I think he's a little bit unproven still. I love the kid. Don't get me wrong. I bet on him, and I think I bet on him in all his fights, including the Sterling fight, I believe. But I still think we got to see more of him with the 5 rounds and with the grappling too. So I think there is questions, but I have more questions about TJ with the layoff.
Same.
And the steroid and the PEDs, EPO. I mean, he was known for his cardio, right? How's he going to look without the juice now with the EPO? That really did help him with his cardio. Marcel, I feel like a lot of time when these guys get busted for PEDs and they take a long time off, come back, they lose. And I feel like that's what's going to happen here. So I'm going to take Cory Sandhagen, but there is a path to victory for TJ if he grapples. I think if he grapples and remember the John Lineker fight, just took him down, that would be how he wins this fight. And again, seeing Cory get submitted like that last year by Sterling, just basically grabbed him in the clinch and backpacked him and got the back control and the submission. That's a worry. But the striking is good. The length and reach are phenomenal for this division. And the confidence is there too. And I do like the fact that everything I'm hearing about their former training sessions sure seems like Cory was the one getting the better in the training. So who knows what that's going to translate in the cage. I'm leaning towards Cory Sandhagen, guys. Knockout, possibly. I mean, TJ just got knocked out his last fight by Henry Cejudo. I think it's also possible this goes to 5 rounds, but definitely possible. Let me check. Cory Sandhagen, yeah, a lot of knockouts too. 4 to 7 wins in the UFC by KO. I don't know. I mean, with the layoff, I guess a knockout is definitely possible. So we'll see. Let me get these comments. AJ, my man, let's effing go. Absolutely, AJ. I'll see you Thursday, AJ. We'll talk about some MMA on then at 4 p.m. on Thursday. Cory Sandhagen plus 800 for a first round knockout. I mean, Marcel likes that 8-1 money. Lynn's taking Sandhagen, needs steroids, has long as mentality and confidence. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I think that TJ could win this fight. I don't want to overlook him. I think maybe some of us are overlooking him right now a little bit because he hasn't fought forever. Don't forget, this guy literally was the best bantamweight in the world. He didn't lose his belt. He had to give it up because he tested positive at 125. So remember that. He's still a good fighter, I think. But I feel like the sport might have passed him by in the last 2 years, Marcel. That's a big difference, Marcel. 2.5 years is a big difference in the sport. So much has changed. That's it for this podcast, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. This was a lot of fun, Marcel. That was a fun one, guys. This card's underrated. Going through with you guys, man, I'm stoked for this one. Marcel, tell everyone where they can find you, man. Let's get out of here.
Big Marcel 24, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook for MMA DNA. Also Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And MMA Martin. Let's go, man.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, you guys follow me on Twitter at MMAOB podcasts on MMAOddsbreaker.com. It's on our YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, everywhere you get your podcast, guys. Appreciate everyone tunes in, ask questions. Love doing the podcast with Marcel. And on Thursday, again, I'll be back with AJ. Just trying to think what else I got going up. DJPen.com, all the news there, MyMMAnews.com, MMAOddsbreaker.com, like I mentioned. And Elite Fantasy, Elite Sports Betting had a great week last week. I'm expecting another solid week, hopefully. So I'll have my article up on Friday there, but I'll be back Thursday with AJ. Have a great day, guys. I'm just going to last comment from Board again. He says TJ's contemporaries Cruz, Hassan Barao. Yep, you're right. And look at those guys. And Cruz is still fighting, but Sunsaw hasn't fought for him. He's basically wiped off the face of planet Earth at this point. So it just shows that how much has really changed in the last 2.5 years. All right, guys, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Peace.